All right, everybody, we've got 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I think we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Nori Neinkirchen, and I'm joined here by Jess Spalding.
Hello.
And we'd like to welcome you to our monthly webinar. Today, we're going to be talking about text messaging. This is going to be a new feature that we're bringing up in version 102 of Smart. So it's going to be an add-on for that version. I want to go into details about that. I want to go into details about how this is going to work for you. But let's go ahead and get started. Before I do that too, I did want to let you guys know we're pretty much just going to focus on the text messaging function here because that's kind of the main highlight of the 102 release. With that being said, we probably won't fill the entire hour with this feature. Jess and I are slated to talk for about 35 minutes. If you guys have questions, though, if the questions keep coming, we're going to keep answering those up to the full hour. So you guys keep throwing stuff at us. We're going to keep taking care of it here. But otherwise, we're looking about half an hour of time today. But all right. So first off, if this is your first time coming over to our webinars here, we do host these the first Thursday of every month. You can sign up for free at smartservice.com/webinar. All the previous webinars are recorded there. If you have somebody that couldn't make it to this webinar, it will be available there. Usually within 24 to 48 hours, we get them up on the site there. So you can always send somebody else to check this out later. Or if you want to see something that we talked about during it, feel free to check out that video. If you guys have questions on the right-hand side of your screen, there should be a little question panel. You guys can ask us questions live during the event. We'll be answering those questions live as well. Justin and I kind of take turns, reading those off and getting answers. So definitely send us anything you guys can think of. If you got any questions, we'll go ahead and take care of those for you. Lastly, if you got any suggestions, what should we cover next month? I'm hoping for job costing, depending on what you guys want to do here. But we want to see what you guys want us to cover next month here in the webinar. This is something that's purely driven by your ideas and what you guys want to hear about. So send me some messages at the end. When you try to leave the webinar, it'll bring up a survey so you can tell us how we did. But more importantly, it'll ask you, what do you want to see next month? And that's what I'm going to be covering. But let's take a look at what we got here today. So we are finishing up the final touches on version 102. As we promised here in the version 101 webinar and videos that we've released here, we're using the new system or the new user interface as kind of a platform to develop bigger and better things for you guys. This is the first in that series of bigger and better things we want to come out with. And what we're going to do here is give you guys the ability to text message customers from Smart Service and a couple of the neat things that would go along with that text messaging function. Now, with that being said, one thing I want to make clear for everybody here, this will be an add-on for Smart Service. So this is something that when we release version 102, if you're interested in, definitely give us a call. We'll give you more information about, pricing and plans and all that stuff and let you know about all that. But this will be something that's pretty exciting. It's something that any customer can call in and get pretty quickly. It's pretty simple to set up. The idea, though, and how all this is going to work for you is you guys call in and you say, hey, I would like to get the text messaging feature. Once we get the payment and everything like that, we are essentially going to be buying a phone number from your local area. So here we are under the 614 area code. What we would do for my fake company here is we would buy a 614 number from Columbus here. And I will put that into our Smart Service database. So we'll take care of that for you. That way, when you send and receive text messages from your customers here, it's going to come from a local number to your area. So yeah, you'll purchase this. You'll let us know what phone number, what area code you want for your phone number. We'll get you a phone number that integrates with Smart Service, lets you send and receive text messages through the program. But let me go ahead and bring you guys over to Smart Service here, and we're going to take a look at a couple different things. All right, so we got Smart Service up. I'm going to go ahead and turn over to Jess. He's actually going to do our first section here for the setup. And remember, guys, if you have questions, keep them coming. We want to see what you got.
Yeah. So like Nora said, I'm going to be running you through the setup for the text messaging features through the Smart Service interface here at the beginning. So to get everything rolling, we need to make sure that we can get into the settings section of Smart Service. So open up the little panel there up at the top left-hand corner and go into settings. Once we get into here, the next step is going to be to go into our Smart Service add-ons. So we can set up this text messaging feature here. So some of the things that we're going to see in here are going to be pretty similar to what we have here for the email job reminders, which is something that you guys, some of you may be familiar with. So The next tab over here is labeled text message. So that's where we would go to set up the templates that we can have for the different kinds of jobs we do. So inside of here, just like back on that email tab, we come in, we select one of our job types from this list, and this is going to let us configure a canned message that we can send out for a specific kind of work. So we select our job type. I'm going to use the service call there. We're going to go in and click on edit. And what we're going to get there after that is where we can go in and edit the text message template. So this is going to work in a similar fashion to the email reminders, as I've mentioned. So you'll just type in what you want this to say to your customers when you send it out. So we can do something like, hello, we just wanted to let you know that we are a couple days. You can expect us on, and then we can right click in here, and you may have seen this in some other locations in Smart Service, but if you right click in that text box, it's going to let you put in little tags for information that comes out of the job that you're sending this message about. So we can put in, you can expect us on this scheduled day at scheduled start time, and we will be sending a scheduled user. So that's going to be your iFleet technician. So we set that little message up, we save it, and now when we want to send out a reminder to our customers via text message, we're going to be able to do that, and it's going to send out that little canned message for us.
And just some questions I wanted to answer here while we're going along the way. So Kendall asked, if I have a spare cell phone already, can I use that number instead for the text messaging feature? You would not be able to integrate a cell phone or another number with our program. We're running this through a specialized service that's built just for this to kind of give you guys the cheapest and best option, and so I can include it inside the actual program. So you would need to get the add-on in order to enable this text messaging feature. And then somebody else, Michelle asked, can looks like can receiving text be disabled if you only want to send reminders but not receive responses? It is currently set up as a two-way street. The reason we did that is there's actually a full kind of text management center in here where you guys can send and receive the messages. They come back attached to that service or attached to that customer, so you can see what you're talking about. You guys can transfer messages to other users if maybe you don't have time to answer that question, you need somebody else to answer it. So there's actually a lot of stuff that's going on with that. So I'll be showing you that here in a little bit. But yeah, you will be able to receive text messages from customers regardless. There's not a way to shut that off. We really want this to be kind of an option for you guys to use it as an all-in-one, kind of send and receive these messages for reminders and customer responses. If something comes up and they text you and say, hey, there's been a problem. Most people we've found, because we thought about setting it up as a one-way thing, but most people we found will try to reply to that. You go to the dentist or something like that, and they said, "Hey, you're going to be, we're going to have an appointment for you soon." Usually, people are going to reply and say, "Okay, hey, thanks," or something like that. We just wanted you to be able to address those things.
Yeah. So back over here in the settings section here, so we've got our job type set up for one of our templates. The next section in here in terms of setup would be our text messaging shortcuts. So we can go in here and you can actually create these little template shortcuts, and when you go to send out a text message, you'll be able to select these by right-clicking and selecting them out of a list that pops up there. So Nori's going to be running you through that here in a little bit once we get into the actual sending and receiving of these text messages. So we've got a couple of little options in here already. So you basically just click into the next line and fill in what you want your next response to be. But outside of that, the setup for this, that's pretty much everything. So we can go ahead and just hit our little red X button in the top right corner. And I'm going to go ahead and go back into the office screen since we'll be in there mostly here in a little bit. The next part of what I'm going to run you through here is going to be how you're going to set up your customer so that you can actually send these text messages to them. So there are a couple of steps on the customer level, and then a few things that can be added to that if you want to kind of push this information to, let's say, a bunch of different locations that a customer might have, or if they've got several jobs scheduled, if you'd like to be able to send out a text message reminder about those, we would want to get those set up. So I'm going to take a quick jump over into contacts here, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up a customer here.
And while you're doing that, Jess, guys, keep these questions coming. I want to get these taken care of here as we go along. So let me take a look here. Someone's asking about is this available now or when is the launch date? With us finishing up the testing and stuff like that, it's hard to say. It will be sometime here in the near future. I can't give you a concrete date yet, but if all goes as planned, it should be fairly soon. So I did want to address that for anybody that wants to know. Also for the pricing, because I'm seeing a lot of people asking about that. That is something that we're also finalizing here. So I'm sure we'll be speaking to that here at some point soon. But right now I don't have any information on that. I know it will be an add-on for Smart Service, but I want to address those concerns here because I'm seeing a couple of questions about that. A couple other things here. I got some more questions coming in. So at the end of this here, what's going to happen is Smart Service and iFleet will have a text messaging capability added to them. That is something that is part of this add-on. I see some people asking about, does this apply to iFleet? Do I need iFleet? You don't need iFleet to do this. What's going to happen here is the texting, the part gets added to the actual Smart Service database. iFleet will use part of that. There's going to be a function we're going to show you here later on that's going to be basically going through what happens when iFleet hits start traveling to job, because we can have an automated text message to the customer at that point. So we'll be showing you guys that part. For those of you who are asking, where we see the incoming text messages, Jess and I will be getting to that here in a little bit. We're going to kind of walk through kind of step by step. So we set up the product. The next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and run through how you get the customer set up, get them the way you need it. A couple of rules on that. And then we're going to go through the actual text messaging center and all that stuff. So keep these questions coming, guys. I'm going to let Jess talk for a little bit and type out some of these answers to you. But if we get questions being asked a couple times, I'll definitely go ahead and interrupt for Jess here, and we'll knock it out.
Yeah, sounds good. So as I'd mentioned, next step is going to be going in and getting the customer configured and running through the different options you'll have during customer configuration for this. So I've searched for Oswald here. We're going to go into Oswald Baker's profile by clicking on his name. And once we get in here on the general information page of this particular customer that we're looking at, we can now see that we have an SMS field here. So you have a couple of options. Let's say maybe you have the customer's number that you want to use set up in here in the phone number already. That's their cell phone number. You can either key that in manually by typing it into the field there, or you can use the little blue arrow that we've added in next to that regular phone number. Let's see. So this is a good thing to come up here. So we can see that this phone number is being used somewhere else. This is an internal number for us. So we're going to go ahead and click OK on this. But it does give you a warning if that number is being used elsewhere on a different customer's record. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. It goes ahead and inserts that number for me. And we need to make sure that we choose the opt-in checkbox there. That is going to make it so that you can facilitate sending out these messages to this customer. But once we get that all squared away, get that text number entered into that SMS field, we get the customer opted in. The next step would be to potentially push this down into other locations or other jobs that this customer might have. So let's double check, make sure we got a job here on Oswald. We do. So from here, if we wanted to, after we get this information entered in, we can go down to our copy data tool. So some of you may be aware of this tool, some of you might not be. If you've never seen it before, I'm going to give you kind of a quick run through of how it works. So we'll click on copy data. It's going to give us a list of fields that we have here inside this customer's record. So if I move this over a little bit, we can see the majority of the fields that we're looking at right now. So what we want to do is we want to check off the SMS number and the opt-in option so that we can send these two fields, the information that we have stored here, down into those jobs. So we've selected that. We're going to hit next now. And then from here, you'll have a list of all of the locations and jobs under this customer that you might want to include. We'll check that off and then hit next. So that's going to show us the two fields we're going to insert from the customer record into our job record. So I'll go ahead and hit complete. And it's going to tell us here that it's updated that record successfully. If you have more than one record that you're choosing to update, it's going to tell you the number that it was able to update. If it encounters any kind of issues, it'll tell you here. If you're having trouble figuring out what the issue was, usually it's going to be you're trying to send something into a field that's got some weird formatting or something like that from the main record here. So you may see some errors occasionally. You can just reach out to the help desk for those. But I will go ahead and close out of that. We now have this customer set up, and if we open up their job, we'll be able to see that information stored in here now as well. But in terms of this piece, that's pretty much everything for the setup of the ability to send out these messages to the customers. So just kind of keep in mind, if you're familiar with the email job reminders, this is going to be a very similar process to what you're already used to here. But with that, I'm going to see if Nori's got any other questions here that he wants to bring up before we switch roles again.
So a couple things I do want to preface here while we're going throughout some of this. So first off, Peter asked, will he be able to attach a picture of the tech going to the home with this? So Peter, for this section, no. This purpose here is really just going to be the text-based thing. For a couple other folks here, like Robin also asked a similar question. Or not Robin, I'm sorry. Robin's going to be a different question here. But a couple of other folks here, I see Matt also asked us if we can text the customers pictures. We have disabled the ability to send and receive photos. To be honest, we didn't quite know how that would play out. If that's something that we want to look at in the future, if that's something that you guys want to see, we can consider that. I know that initially we didn't want the customer to be able to really send you guys photos, just because of how that gets processed on the back end. It basically, we can keep the cost down on this feature here when we determine that by doing text. It's a lot cheaper to send a text than it is to send a message, a picture message, especially if you're talking, multiple photos. But I am taking notes on the people that would like to, have a photo component added to that. That is something I will bring up with the development folks here and see if there's, going to be an issue or what the added cost would be to do that. And yeah, we'll take that into account, though. I'm definitely glad to see that people are throwing out suggestions there. Let me see here. I know I got a couple other questions. Let me read through here and make sure I'm getting everything. Robin asked, this is Robin's question here, if they would be able to text the messages to their employees. Robin, I get great news for you that you can actually already do that. So inside the Smart Service here, you have this option. This has been here for a little while. In this version, it does message employee or message customer, but you have a message employee function in here right now. What you would need to do to enable this, and it probably would be a quick call to the help desk, or if you look on our online manual at smartservice.com/knowledge base, there's instructions for it. Essentially, what you need to do, though, is go into this employee section. You need to take one of the employees that you have. You need to enter in a cell phone number. There'll be a little box in your version right under this alternate contact. We kind of changed it in this version here. But you'll have a little box here that would ask you for their cell phone number. You'll have a little check mark and pencil symbol on the right where you'll choose which cellular carrier. So you have to know your text carrier. And once you have those in there, and provided that your email is set up back here under add-ons in this little section, as long as you have this stuff set up, you'll be able to text message your employees today about their services. This feature is really bringing text messaging to the customer level, but we've had that ability to text message your employees for a little while, so definitely something you can take a look at. Let me see here. So Robin, you also asked, do contracts need to contain an opt-in/out language? So there is a thing that you'll want to take a look at when you're doing things like this. I linked it in our release notes, so definitely check those out when you get it. But it's called the CAN-SPAM Act. It's one of the FTC rulings, and it basically you want to be careful. You don't want to message a bunch of people if they don't want you to message them and stuff like that. I linked to the full rules and regulations there for a reason, so that you guys, stay safe and stuff. But when we release the release notes, take a look at that. Like I said, it's called the CAN-SPAM Act. That's something you want to take a look at. And then I'll kind of leave that up to you guys for what you want to do with that. Let me see here. So Tara asked, will it text a landline message if they do not have a cell phone? So as far as my knowledge, landlines won't be able to receive a text message. So I don't believe that would do anything. I haven't sent it to a landline here, but it shouldn't be able to do anything. I don't think anybody does like a text to like a voicemail thing or anything like that on a landline, right, Jess?
As far as I'm aware, no.
Yeah, I don't think that your landline would have the ability to receive a text message. We probably just wouldn't opt those people into the text messaging option. Remember, with Smart Service and the default program, you always have the email job reminders option here. So if they don't have a cell phone that you can call, we can do email job reminders. The text messaging is for texting, but this feature is something that you have in the program right now that you could use. Let me see what else we got here. And then for Stephanie, same kind of thing. Yeah, you have this email thing now, so you can do that if you want to do emails instead. Let's see here. Okay, and then Billy, we answered your question, I believe. You asked what's the text message above the customer card section. Yeah, so that'll be for, yeah, thank you, Jess. Go ahead and head back there for a moment for me. So this here, currently, for your version, will text your employees. With this add-on, we're doing a function that will let us text message the customer or the employee here. So you choose which one you want it to do. Let's see here. For Spencer, you asked, so this will have to be manually activated on every existing customer. Yes, Spencer, it will. Once again, that is compliance with that CAN Spam Act. So you will have to go in here and opt your customers into that by checking the box and transfer a number for them.
Yeah, so for that's a good use for your copy data tool. So
Yes.
you go in when you come across a customer, you're on the phone with them, they want a job scheduled up for them. You can check with them then, say, hey, we have the ability to send out text messages now. Would you guys like to opt in for that? Then we'd get their cell phone number, opt them in, and then we can push that information down with our copy data tool. So you just come back in here, check these off, hit your next button, and then apply it to whatever's underneath of there.
All right. Some other questions that you guys have here. Let's see. Okay, I answered that. For Adrian, no, that email job reminders, that's been there for a while, so you can get started using that. There are instructions once again at smartservice.com/knowledge base. And then I think last webinar we covered that as well, Jess?
I believe so, yeah. We went through and set that up. Yep.
Yeah, there's one called customer outreach at smartservice.com/webinar that goes through like the full process of how to set it up and how to use it. So when you're done here, you can definitely head over there and check out that section there. See here, another good question from Michelle here. Michelle asked, can a customer receive or can the customer text without receiving a text from us first? Yes, they can. With the smart service, as we'll call it, the smart service number that we're providing you from your local area, that would be something you'd be able to give out, and customers can text in to smart service, so you don't have to initiate the conversation. We did that really so, you, let's say, send out a reminder, everything goes well, and then, next week they text you with a follow-up or something. We want you guys to be able to receive that text message and have that kind of displayed front and center for you. But we'll go over that screen here in a minute to show you that section. Let me see here. All right. I'll tell you what, Jess, I'm going to go ahead and hand this to you. I'm going to have Jess answer some of these questions too. I want to show you, because a lot of these questions you guys are asking are things that we're going to talk about here in a moment. So let me go ahead and hand this over to Jess to look at those, because he knows what we're going to talk about, and we'll keep going here. All right. And Jess, here's the mouse for that.
All right.
Thank you, sir. All right, guys. So we've got everything in here. What you want to do here to send out these text messages to your customers, once you have everybody all set up like this, I'm going to go ahead and close out of that and make sure, yeah, so our job looks good, so we can close out of that. Now, to send out these messages, we're going to go into the Office section, and there's two primary sections in the Office when it comes to text messages. There's going to be a My Messages section up here at the top left. That's going to show you how many messages you have that are unread, and we'll get to that one in a moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to initiate this message process by sending out a message to our customer. So just spend some time there setting up the second option, message job reminders, down here in the job preparation section. So I'm going to head in there. Go ahead and open that up. This works very similar to the email job reminders window that some of you may be familiar with already. So we can come over here and we can pick out a date range of employees we want to message. We can also go ahead and pick out a date range of services I'd like to message. You can bring that up here. That'll list out all the services we have. So you see we got a couple different things that we could send a text message for. And then what we're going to do here is possibly filter maybe by class, filter by the type of customer, filter by the type of service. Remember, if you don't have a template set up for one of these, like we don't have one for inspection right now, So that's not going to send anything. But I do have a template for service call. So like Jess did earlier, you want to make sure you go ahead and fill out each of your templates. You can see all the information though here for that date range that we selected. An option that most people don't know about in this screen is, in addition to the little check boxes on the far left-hand side of a customer, if I wanted to, uncheck a customer so they don't receive a message this time for some reason, up here, there's a little check mark that will check and uncheck all. So most people don't realize that's actually a button there. You can check and uncheck all from that. So you have that option there. To send out these text messages, you have a couple different things you can do. You first want to look across here and make sure everything looks good. Make sure they do have a number in here. For some of you, you're going to be, having, let's say, 50 jobs on the schedule, and you come in here and let's say 20 of them appear in this window. That's because this is set to target only people that have that opted in checkbox checked. So if you don't see all of your jobs, that means some of them probably aren't opted in for the text messaging feature. We won't let you send them a message unless you have that box checked. So keep that in mind. If you need to go in and adjust something that's not the right phone number, you can hit this edit tool and lets you open up the service. On the far right of the service here, we have the message button. If I hit this, it'll send that message out to them. You also have down here at the bottom a message all option. Now, the way that these buttons work, because these can be kind of scary, they will send a text message to everybody in the list that has the little check mark. So you want to be careful with it. So you click it once to arm that setting. It tells you, hey, you're going to message all these people at once. Make sure that's okay. Hit OK. It'll refresh the screen. Take that, and then if you hit the text or the message all button, then it's going to message everybody in that list. So that's something that you'll want to do. When you do that, though, it's going to change it to be 1 day at a time for the messaging. And that's kind of a safety thing for you guys so you don't accidentally message the wrong group of people. But let's take Jess's job in here. I'm going to hit the message function. Message gets sent. And then what we've rigged up here to kind of display things to you. Let me go ahead and go back here. So we've got a Google Voice account that we set up just so we can display how this message looks. So you can see here down here is that message that Jess sent. And it's got the technician's name and when we're going to be out there and the time and all that stuff. All of this stuff here was what Jess specified. And I'll bring it up above it so you guys can see it. Back over here under settings, add-ons, the text messaging center, and then the edit tool here. So see, that's what the message used to look like. That's how your template looked. And then this is what the customer gets. And remember, you can come in here and right click and you can make it populate with all the different details that you have in there to customize your message. So that'll be that section here. Now we're going to talk about customer replies and all that stuff. So I'm going to come down here and we're going to say, so this would be the customer sending that out. So you can say, hello, thanks for letting me know. Sends out to them. Now, how does Smart Service know that you guys get a message? If I come back here and we head over to our office screen, I'll expand this window. You see I now have one text message up here, this My Messages section. So when you receive a message, whether it's you initiated the conversation, they replied like what we just did, or if it's, they just text you out of the blue asking for something, everybody in the office is going to see this section here, this My Text Messages. There's an option for you to claim a text message here. I'm going to show you to say, hey, I'm going to take care of this guy. But right now we want it to be everybody can see this message so everybody can get to it as soon as possible. We can get an answer. So I'll head in here. We can see our message. We can click on it. And it displays that same message window we were looking at from the customer side. So we got there, hello, thanks for letting me know. If I want to take this message, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to the top right-hand corner. There's a couple buttons. You have a claimed, resolved, and transfer function. The claim function means, hey, I'm going to take this. So it's going to be a message that I want Jess to know. Let's say if he's in the company too, hey, I got this one. I'm going to reply to these people. When I finish replying, I will do a resolved here, and that'll basically tell Smart Service, hey, we're done with this conversation. It doesn't delete it, doesn't archive it. It'll still be available in here, but it's going to take it out of our unread list here because we've read it, we've replied, we've resolved, whatever they're asking about. If I'm heading out the door or something like that, and I really need to get where I'm going, and maybe I need Jess's help with this, I do have the option up here under transfer to click on that and transfer it to another employee. that will make it show up as an unread message for that employee. Something you might want to do if we don't want to lose the text message if we have a couple in here or something like that, or you can't get to it right away. You can transfer it over to somebody else as an option. But you'd have a couple different messages over here. You click on the different customers that you may have displayed. At the bottom of the screen, you have a little reply section. So we can go ahead and reply to the customer. So we can put in something. Now I can write out something like this and then hit the send button on the far right there, and that sends it over to the customer. I also have the option of right-clicking in this box, and I can do one of our quick messages, and you can see those. So I could have come in here and just hit thank you and sent that out instead. So you have the quick message options you can build up. There are going to be some times where, let's say the customer is very unhappy with the service they got, or, they want to let you know something, or maybe you're just transferring this to another person. You want to kind of fill them in on what the conversation is. You have the option of typing in a message down here. I'm just going to write out, let's say, maybe there's a secret message. Don't send it, but hit this whisper button. Whisper does not send that to the customer. It just puts a little note on this message on your side internally. So you'll see here, that doesn't go to the customer. The last thing they heard was our thank you. But what that's intended to do is if somebody else comes into the conversation at your business and there's something that's context or something important, or there's something that the customer's unhappy about and you guys want to take an internal note in this message chain, that's how you're going to do it. That way Jess would be able to see it if I pass this along to him, or he looks at it next week to figure out, why this lady's calling, yelling at him or something like that. So you guys will have the option to put some context in these messages by using that whisper function there. Some other options that you guys have here. If the customer messages in, this is just kind of a general thing. If the customer messages in and let's say we don't have that phone number on file, it will display kind of similar to what we have over here on the left-hand side. It'll just be the number. It won't have a name assigned to it. And then you can ask them, who is this or something like that. You might want to make one of your quick responses, something like that. So I've got one right here. That we can see who you're speaking with, but you'll still be able to correspond with them as long as they have the phone number that we are assigning to you as part of the add-on. You'll be able to send these, they'll be able to send you messages and stuff like that. Let me see here. I think Jess is indicating some questions to me here. See here. So Michelle, you asked if there was an alert when messages come in. Yeah, so that'll be over here in, I clicked the wrong one, over here in your office section. That's going to be that my text messages one. So you'll be able to see that. There's a couple other folks also asked that same question here.
Yep.
Let me see here. So definitely keep these questions coming, guys. I want to see what else we can answer for you so far, because there's still a couple more things we want to go over here. So Sarah asked, what if I use a Google number just like in that text? That's going to be kind of the same thing as the cell phone number question earlier. Like if you guys already have a spare cell phone, we won't be able to integrate a Google Voice line or something like that with this product, at least not with Smart Service, just because then we'd have to build some framework for Google to be able to use that as well. So we built this on a specific platform. So this would be something as an all-in-one feature that you guys would want to get from us at Smart Service. You won't be able to integrate like a second cell phone or a Google number, a Skype number, something like that with it. But definitely good questions here.
Yeah.
Some other little options you guys have in here. You'll be able to see all text, and that's going to be every single text message you guys have sent. Or you can just look at my text. This is going to be messages that you guys have claimed. So you'll have the option of coming here instead of seeing everything in here, just your unread text that you've claimed. So if they've responded back since you claimed it or something, you'll be able to see those here. You have an option to sort as well, to sort the list of messages. It's going to sort by putting the unread ones on top, kind of like email. But you also have the option to just sort by time, and then all those messages will be, the most recent number or the most recent reply on top. Other options you'll have in here. Let's say you come into the screen. Let me close out and we'll go back in here and I'll show you what I mean. We come into this screen and we want to text somebody from here. You have the capability to do that. You'd come up here to this little binocular tool, and it will display all the customers that you have the ability to message. So I could pick out one of these people here. Go ahead and grab, I guess, Randall here. And I could either search for some like keyword, or I could type them in like that, select them. That will give me the option. I can start a new message chain with Randall right here by just typing out something. So you guys will have the option to do that. Another thing I want to let you know about is if you are on a customer record, like we were earlier, the function above here, if you hit this text message button, this message customer, what that's going to do is open up that same window, but it's going to be already attached to that customer for you. So you can just get in there and start typing out whatever you've got. There will be a view and resend failed text messages. I haven't personally been able to get a text message to fail yet. It goes out pretty quickly, as you guys have seen here. You do have the option, though, to open up a little dialogue and see any messages, if there's something going on with your internet connection or, something like that. You'll be able to see that kind of stuff in here. But other than that, I'm going to pass it back to Jess here. We're going to talk about the iFleet section of this and how that's going to work, and what you guys can expect there. So let's go ahead and switch our mouse and keyboard around here.
All right, guys, so let's go ahead and back out of this section. So what we're going to be looking at again here on this next little piece is going to be back in settings again. So we've already covered setting up for the smart service options that we'll have. So the next section here, some people have been asking about this through the questions there, but since we're going to cover it, I want to make sure that we do that through this rather than just pulling up a question out of the blue there. So we went into set up smart service add-ons to take care of the email reminders and sending messages through smart service. Down here in our iFleet tab, we will have a new option. So in here, you're going to have all your regular options, so all your different checkboxes and how you can send information out to the technicians. But our next step would be to come in here and enable the customer notifications. So if you turn this on, that is going to begin the process for you to be able to actually notify your customers that your technicians are on their way. So what will happen is we will create a template. So you click on the little template button there, and then you type in whatever you want to say to that customer about that technician being en route. So when they hit their travel start out in iFleet, this text message is going to be sent kind of in the background. So it'll go through the service that we're providing in the office and be sent to your customer that way. So what we would do is we'd come in here and say, hello, we are on our way. You can expect, and we can right click in here and pull out information again. So expect us to arrive shortly. And again, right click, come in here, select the information that you're looking for. So if we go into that job again, we can get all of those different fields that we might want set up again. So we've got our date, scheduled start and end, and the scheduled user in here as well. So for this, you can make it as basic as you'd like to. Just tell the customer you're on your way. You can insert some of those little fields there. After you fill in your template, you'll hit your save button. And then technician's going to go out, start traveling to their job. The information is going to be sent back through to Smart Service so it can send out a text message for you. But that is pretty much it in terms of the setup for this. And for now, it looks like we basically have questions here.
Yeah.
So what do we got, Nori?
All right, let me take a look here, guys. And we got a bunch of stuff going on. Let's see here. Okay, looks like we already answered that one.
And while he's kind of looking through there, I see one that's kind of popping out to me. Chrissy, since you had joined in a little bit late there, we will have this webinar uploaded to our smartservice.com/webinar webpage here within the next 24 to 48 hours. It just kind of depends on how quickly we can get it uploaded and do all the post that happens before we get those uploaded.
All right. So some questions here. Looks like Mila asked a question. If we're using iFleet for the iPads, do we need that text message function for the employees? Yeah, that's something that came with the system. It's something that's good. So the idea there between texting your employee versus sending them something through iFleet, texting the employee would be good. I know Jess and I do it. I think everybody does it. You've got your work device, but your personal device is never too far away from where you are. If there's an important message, it might be better to send it via text message. If they have an iPad out there, that's great. But I know that if you send somebody, a text message on their cell phone, they're probably going to look at that before the work device. So that's kind of what it's there for. It gives a good pop-up to say, hey, this or that's changed, or hey, drop whatever you're doing. I need you to come back to the office and help with, whatever it may be. So that message is more of an emergency function if you really need to get a hold of your text. Also, I know a thing that we've covered in previous webinars is the resend trigger that you guys can trip if, let's say, we change job information mid-job. You never want to change information in the job mid-job. So sometimes it's better to just text them and say, hey, by the way, on that job you're doing, make sure this or that, because if you type that into Smart Service and just do it to the job, it's going to cause a resend to iFleet, and then they're going to potentially lose information in iFleet. So that's kind of the idea of that text message function there.
Yeah. And there was another question that came in there, and it was for Catherine. So she had asked if the text message would automatically be sent out when that technician marks that they are traveling to the site. That is correct. So when they hit that travel, it's going to queue up a text to be sent out to that customer via iFleet, and then it'll travel back to Smart Service and be sent out from there. Let's see what else we got here.
So going back to Tara's question earlier, I didn't know this actually. So I guess she said that in Canada they do have the text to landline ability. If it works up there, I don't see any reason why this wouldn't work. All we're doing is just sending some text to a number. So I would say that should be totally fine. Definitely try it out if you have one of the text to landline things at home or something. We can set it up and try to send you a message before you invest in it and all that. But yeah, I don't see why that wouldn't work. It would work just like a cell phone in my mind then. So
yeah, I would assume so. I'll look around after we get out of this webinar and see if that's something that we just didn't know about in the States here. But as far as I know, I've never seen anything like that, but could be mistaken there.
Yeah. For Debbie, yes, you'll be able to text message your employees if you don't get the add-on. That's something you can do today, actually, Debbie. You have the ability to text your employees right now. You just got to set up their names and numbers. Susie asked a very important question here that I definitely think we should address. Will the customer get the message that data charges may apply? We don't have anything like that built into the system currently. I know that with us not releasing this yet, all the features that we're talking about here, are still subject to change in some fashion, which is why I like hearing all these questions from you guys. But right now, currently, no, there isn't anything that's going to tell them that a message rate applies or anything like that. So you won't see that in it yet. But if you want to add something like that as a quick message, that might be a good idea, and just follow that up. You just right click and send that out. That wouldn't be too bad. Let me see what else we got here. For text messaging groups, you will not be able to text message a group. Our idea there was you use that message job reminders to kind of basically text message your group then to send out mass messages to the customers. If you were referencing the text messaging employees in group, that is something that you have to select an employee one at a time for. So just make it clear depending on which way you meant it there. For Jessica, if a customer replies via text, where does that text go? Well, that's going to go back to our office screen here, Jessica. And it's going to go to that My Text Messages section. So you'll get a notification when they message you back. There is not a pop-up message. So like if you're on the calendar and you're scheduling something, it's not going to pop up in your face and say, hey, you've got a text message on this other screen. However, pretty much every job, that's what this office screen does. This is supposed to be kind of like how you have the QuickBooks home screen, and you always kind of start from there, and there's plenty of options for what to do and where to go. I want you guys to use this with the same kind of enthusiasm that you'd use that QuickBooks home screen with. So you should be at this pretty much all the time. This should be something that's always open in addition to your contact search and your scheduling board. That way you guys can come back in here, see if there are phone calls you need to make is in here, where you guys review your jobs in here. So hopefully we're visiting this section pretty often.
Yeah.
And let me take a look at some other stuff here. Bear with me just 1 second here, folks.
Yeah, there were a lot of questions that have been coming in, so we're kind of filtering through those a little bit here for the ones that will be relevant to this discussion.
Yeah, well, that, and we got about 150 of you guys in here, and I want to make sure I answer everybody's stuff, but I don't want to repeat stuff too much so I can get to everybody's questions. So give me 1 second here.
And I see quite a few questions coming in about the cost information. So we will be able to provide that kind of information a little bit closer to release. We are still kind of working through what the cost is going to be to the customer and everything there. So just kind of keep that in mind. Closer to the release date for the version 102, we'll have more information as that day gets closer to the current time there. So just keep that in mind.
And with that note too, if you guys want to know when these things are released and stuff like that, we do have an option if you want to send an email to support at My Service Depot to set you guys up to get a message when we do release an update. I know that's something that we do. Also, you can check out Ben's site over here, and that is at smartservice.com/updates. And that's where you guys usually see little update videos, and that's me kind of going through these same functions. So you see like a 5-minute version of what we're talking about today. But it's full of information, and also it'll tell you when the update's coming out and stuff like that. Also at smartservice.com/knowledge base, if you'd like to download the update yourself, you can always check there. There's a current update, and you'll see that same video and all that stuff in there. So you'll have the option to see that here. But I think I'm going to take one more look through. I think we've got all the different questions here. Guys, for some of you that are joining a little late, which is totally fine with us, remember, we will always have this video up at smartservice.com/webinar, usually within 24 to 48 hours of us finishing the webinar. So if you missed some of this, or you're not sure about part that we might have already covered, we'll definitely be able to get that video out for you so you can check it out. Let me make sure, though, Justin and I are just taking a look to make sure we didn't have anything else we want to get to that hasn't been talked about yet. Susie asked, can you have more than one SMS number? It is going to be one SMS number per customer. Of course, that wouldn't cover, like, if you have a location or something like that, then each property could have a different SMS number, or each job could have a different SMS number theoretically. So you shouldn't have any problem doing that. But I wouldn't be able to text like 2 phones at once. I would imagine that's going to have to do a little bit more with that message window, because then I'd have to display which person's texting you, and that might clutter up the message window a little bit if I, allowed you to send like 10 text messages to 10 different numbers for that customer at once. Let's see here. Oh, so with that, with the iFleet section being said there, we generally have a little problem displaying iFleet back here during the webinars. Just going through the iPad to the computer, and then with the webinar program, because it's kind of bulky running, it kind of slows down your experience in seeing iFleet. With that being said, when you guys hit the start traveling to job option in iFleet, that's when it's going to send that text message notification to the customer, say, hey, we're on our way. That's something that kind of happens in the background in iFleet. So there's not really anything to display there. They'll hit start traveling to job. It'll function as normal. They won't even know the text message went out if you never tell them, honestly. But whenever they hit start traveling to job, it's at that point what it's essentially doing, for those of you who are also asking about, like how that part works and all that, it sends that notification. So just like how you guys get that they're traveling back in the office, with that, we're packaging, hey, they hit start travel, send the message, and Smart Service actually sends the message, not the device itself. So that's something that's important to note there. That's why they don't have a pop-up or anything like it for that. I think that's all the major ones, guys. I'm going to go ahead and hand my laptop over to Jess here, have him take another quick look here while I'm doing the outro section here. And if you feel like we missed your question or something, definitely send it back to us here. Like I said, Jess is going to be watching that pretty close as we go throughout the end here. I think we got all the different questions we had, though, but definitely let me know. I don't want to miss you guys here if you got something, and you can always follow up with one of us too to get some questions answered.
Yeah.
All right. So additional resources that you guys will want to take a look at here. You can always watch this video here. Like I said, within about 24 to 48 hours of us doing the live event, you'll be able to check this out at www.smartservice.com/webinar. All the previous webinars are there. That is definitely something you guys want to check out. It covers not only stuff like this when we do, new product releases and new features and stuff like this, but it also covers existing features. And the whole purpose of why Jess and I do these here is because we want to cover what you guys do on a day-to-day basis. There are a lot of companies like you guys out there, and you want to probably share some things that you guys found that are helpful. We want to share things that Jess and I know are helpful. That way we can give you guys some new perspective. It's definitely a great option if you don't have time to sit down for a training class with us or something like that. We have almost every topic on there covered at this point, which definitely makes it nice because then you guys can pause and resume that video whenever you need, to make sure that you have time to watch it and absorb the information. Maybe try it out on your system while you're watching the video. Always a great option. With that, also, we have smartservice.com/updates. That's where you can go to receive the latest and greatest features and all that stuff and see what we're going to be putting in the program. We definitely want to hear about you guys. Our enhancements here are customer driven. I know text messaging is something that's been really big for you guys. It's definitely been big for our owner and stuff like that. He's really excited about it. So we definitely want to get this out to you guys as soon as possible and make something you guys are going to love. Lastly, here we have smartservice.com/knowledge base. This one's pretty darn important too. This is where you guys can go to get step-by-step tutorials. When we release version 102 of Smart Service here, I will have a tutorial up for the on the knowledge base for the text messaging function. I've been writing that off and on the last couple of days, so you guys can definitely check that out when it's released. That'll be pretty easy. You just go to the knowledge base there. There's a search bar. Just type in text message. You'll see one option that's for the employees, and then another option for the special module here that we're going to be offering. Lastly, we recommend that you guys definitely get some training if you felt like, hey, this doesn't look anything like my smart service. I'm not really sure what buttons are talking about. Well, give Jess and I a call here. You can contact us at 888-518-0818 to schedule up some training. We do the training on a one-on-one basis, so it would be just your company. If you sign up for that, you guys can bring whoever else you like to your personal training class. We record those videos and send them out to you via Dropbox, so you have a recorded copy of everything we discussed and how we did things and stuff like that. But Jess and I recommend that you guys do about 2 hours of training every 2 years to stay up to date on the latest and greatest features that we're releasing here. Jess, do we have any other questions?
Just another one on the stopping or opting out for customers that you're sending the text messages to. So just kind of reiterate that there's nothing in there currently that is going to automatically apply that to what you're sending out. So if you need something like that in there, you'd want to put that into your canned response that you have inside of your templates there.
Absolutely. All right, guys. We're going to go ahead and keep the webinar open for a little bit just to see if there are any other questions. We'll be doing pretty much text only. We'll text them back to you. But otherwise, guys, thanks for coming. We look forward to seeing you next month.
Yeah. Have a good day, guys.
Bye-bye.